So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the Arabian Union from My WICSO comes into the modern day world. Now, the Arabian Union is a pretty strong country, of course, in Arabia. It's actually one of the strongest countries in the world in My WICSO series, but that's because there's not a lot of big countries in My WICSO. There's not a lot of big powers, but as you can see, I have capitals on here, and it's mostly correct. I also have cities, and there's some that are definitely not correct. But it's kind of as close as I can get for now. Chat did help me with Turkey, Georgia, and some other countries, adding more major cities to them. Um, but I actually, by the time you're seeing this, I may or may not have already done a second viewer WICSO. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, let's go ahead and start our episode. So, the Arabian Union has a lot of land. Of course, they also have a pretty strong post in Africa, which they take all of Eritrea, good portions of Sudan, Ethiopia, and Djibouti, and it has pretty much all of Saudi Arabia except this portion right here. Takes a small portion out of Iraq, about half of Kuwait, and of course Qatar, the UAE, Oman, and Yemen. This is a pretty strong country. And in the scenario, we're gonna see what we can. Now, I'm currently recording this on the 11th of 2020. Well, yeah, the 11th of July. And this is going up on Wednesday. So, may or may not by then we already have 500 subscribers. So, we're just gonna aim for that. Anyways, let's start this video. So, the Arabian Union is pretty strong. And, well, the first target is gonna go ahead and be a smaller country, being Djibouti. So they will push into Djibouti and take a lot of land, getting really close to their capital. From here, they make a ship. They go across and they go to this portion of land right here. And eventually, the capital is sieged and taken, and all of Djibouti surrenders over to the Arabian Union. Let's go ahead and take a look at the peace treaty. So, in the peace treaty, Djibouti is fully annexed, and their capital is turned into a major city of the Arabians. The Arabians' next target is going to go ahead and be Kuwait. Kuwait is a pretty strong country. Well, not a pretty strong country. They're a pretty good oil country, so that is one of the main reasons. Even though this is already one of the most has one of the most oil producing countries, since it has most of Arabia, and then just all this Persian Gulf land. Yeah, it's a very economically, in terms of oil at least, very good. And well, with the invasion of Kuwait and taking, well, all of the um, but with the invasion of Kuwait taking all of the country, that pretty much duplicates. Kuwait is a very strong country in terms of oil, and well, with those resources now, they can become better economical partners with people, and just well, they're definitely trading a lot with the United States now for oil, probably trading with Russia for this thing. India, China, these guys are definitely becoming a powerful state. From here, though, they don't really know what they're gonna do. They make some decisions within the government, and they figure out that they really just want to take out the Arabian Peninsula first. So they're gonna go ahead and declare war on the remainder of Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia does still have, well, they have two major cities, but these two major cities are on the line here, as the Arabians are gonna make a pretty good militaristic strategy. First, they go on from all sides of the border, but predominantly make a bulge in this location right here. They start moving in even more, and they start trying to encircle well, this whole area, and that goes very well. From here, they make another bulge out, which is to capture this major city up here, and that is when it also gets close. But then they just take this whole deserty area right here, which provides a like a way worse front for these guys. From here, this bulge is going to be full on happening, and this major city is encircled, while this portion of the army, half of it, is still heading up north to try to encircle this piece of land and then try to capture this major city from both sides. Over here, we can see that the green team is also pushing in even more and taking a lot of land, which is to help with the whole siege. The blue team is going to go ahead and push back. The Saudi Arabians push back on the coastal areas. However, over here in more of the inland areas, they start to get beaten back. Unfortunately for this landing here, It's just not going good. As the city siege and well, it surrenders, and well, that was a pretty big loss. But now the Arabians are once again pushing up, and now pushing into encircle this whole area from both sides, in which they do so. And there's a lot of army here, and they all either become POWs or just die. From here, this portion of the army will go up the coast. Well, this portion of the army will make a spearhead over to well, I guess to the capital, Saudi Arabia now. From here, this portion of the army, the half army over here, is going to also go ahead and do stuff. What is going on with my map? They're also going to make a spearhead, which is the same thing they did with the encirclement. And guess what? This is going to go the same way as the Sicilians encircled, and now the capital of Saudi Arabia is taken. Even though this is technically it right here. From here, not much else happens except some slithering up the coast and just some more pushing up in general. But after all of the important areas of Arabia are taken, this country is going to go ahead and surrender over to the Arabian Union. And that, I think, was definitely my most detailed war explanation. Since they want to take all of the Arabian Peninsula, the Saudi Arabians will be fully annexed into the Arabian Union, and unfortunately, these really great borders no longer exist. So, yeah, now this really is just what if Saudi Arabia formed an empire. But from here, an anti-Arabian pact will form, just like they did in My WICSO. That consists of Ethiopia, Israel, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. That's right. These countries are all going to have to work together. I don't care what you say. They're going to have to work together. Iran also joins this pact, and that has been, like, it's pretty strong. But then the Arabian Union is going to go ahead and get some allies, which are going to be highlighted in dark green. These include Egypt, Somalia, and that's it for now. Anyways, now the Arabian Union is well, it's very kind of not really in its comfort zone. Pretty much all countries that border it are in a alliance against it, except for Sudan. So that, of course, is gonna go ahead and be the next target of the Arabian Union and its alliance, or just allies. As Egypt starts their invasion going down the Nile, as well as along the coastline. And immediately, the Arabians also start to push and connect and take the full coastline of the Egyptians or the Sudanese, and together with the Egyptians, make a large encirclement of this area. And well, Sudan is kind of in a bad spot here. Because if you didn't know, they're kind of in a civil war. It's kind of weird. But there's a large portion of people in this region. I think it's called, uh, I may be pronouncing it wrong, but I think it's called Darfur or something like that. Let me actually recheck. That is correct. It is pronounced Darfur, and it is a region in Sudan which wants its independence. And with this now rising up better than ever, it's about Joe over for Sudan. This whole encirclement is fully captured, as well as the capital of Sudan, as they are just not in the right position to even be doing this. Eventually, this country is going to go ahead and surrender, but something does happen right before this country is fully divided, and that is, unsurprisingly, the blue team. The Anti-Arabian Expansion League is going to go ahead and declare war on the Arabian Union. This might be a little bit of a hint for what's going to happen in my WIC, so maybe or maybe. So now only will Darfur be on the side of the Arabian Union. They will be working with them, however, they won't be sending troops. So, of course, without anybody knowing this was going to happen, the Arabian Union starts to get invaded. They especially get invaded in this coastal area right over here next to Kuwait, and two major cities are captured, including the old capital, Kuwait. A landing is made in the UAE, very close to Dubai. However, Ethiopia is not in a good position here, as there's already Sudanese troops, or not Sudanese troops, Arabian Union troops, and even Somalian troops on this border. So Somalia is gonna start their invasion on Ethiopia, and it goes pretty well. They actually capture a lot of these Somalian areas of Ethiopia. From here, the Arabian Union really just makes a grand all-out invasion of Ethiopia. although it's very hard to get through due to the mountainous terrain that this country endures. The Egyptians send about 75% of the military to go deal with this, and 25% to deal with this. So the 75% get here, and it is not well for Israel, Palestine, and Jordan, as these areas start to get invaded rapidly. However, over here in the Arabian Union, it's just not going as well, as there's nothing to really defend this. However, a big army is about to get sent up to this region out of a bunch of drafts from this area right here, who has a lot of population. Coming back to Ethiopia, the harsh terrain is very hard for the Somalians, Egyptians, and the Arabians to really deal with. However, the Egyptians and the Somalians work together, where the Arabian Union sends pretty much all of its military to deal with this and this. So the Egyptians and the Somalians work together, and they manage to capture Addis Ababa, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, Ethiopia is gonna go ahead and well, not do well after this, as they're starting to lose a lot of land, and the terrain, like I said, is very hard for the Somalians and the Egyptians to deal with. However, it is getting done slowly but surely, and eventually Ethiopia is gonna surrender, as they see no hope in this war. Coming back over here, so basically what happens is the Arabian Union is gonna push back, right? Not really though. It's all of the Jordanese, Israeli and Palestinian troops that get out of here, and instead they go over here to fight with their own country. However, it's like it's not too late, but it's pretty much already too late. These countries are pretty much already on the chopping block and already are all almost dead. And well, Palestine's dead, Israel dead, and finally Jordan's dead. And well, that was for nothing. So Arabia's here, and they're starting to push back. However, this thing captures Dubai, and that's not good, as they capture most of the UAE. But over here, yeah, this is done. Iraq didn't do a great chance. They didn't have a great chance of reinforcing this, and now a lot of these areas in the Fertile Crescent are starting to well, get invaded by the Arabians. From here, they capture just a lot of areas of Iraq, and even meet up with the troops in Jordan to form a full-on offensive. Somalian troops get here, as well as more Arabian troops, and they finally get to the UAE front line, in which they take all of this back. And well, yeah, that was very quick. The Arabian troops have been much more trained, it seems like, than the Iranian and just Iraqi and Syrian and Lebanese troops, as well as these three hipsters. Anyways, Jordan is getting pushed out from now. Lebanon is taken, they surrender. Syria's already going through a bunch of stuff. Well, not really, but well, actually, kind of. They're going through reformation. Iraq's capital is taken, and then they surrender. And that was just well, all the green and purple versus blue. And if you don't count the ocean, that's not a very easy battle to win, as the mountains don't exist anymore, and well, Fran is taken. Southern landings are made, and eventually this country is just gonna surrender due to the well sheer manpower that the green team has. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty, which will end off this video. So this is very interesting. I just wanted to show you guys what basically the peace treaty is. Now let's go ahead and fill up the lines. So that's it. That is it for this peace treaty. And we can see that dang, the Arabian Union, Egypt, Somalia, they became way bigger. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video in full. Please subscribe and like this. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video. Comment something, I don't know. And thank you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Good.